My name is Patricia Lozano, and I'm the Executive Director of EarlyEdge California. I'm going to tell you a little bit about EarlyEdge and our work. We do advocacy, so basically what that means is that we're trying to be the voice of teachers and all the people who are doing the work for our kids in Sacramento. So policymakers do what they need to do to help our families access the best programs possible. So our goal is really that all Californians and all families have access to the best programs. And what we do every day is thinking about how do we get there through our policies and get the funding so every family has access to the right programs, and we support our teachers and our families know how to get their resources. So, at EarlyEdge, we're all about quality. So basically, we want programs to have all the resources to provide high quality services. And within that, our two key issues that we're working on are teachers. So we think that to have high quality, we need to support our teachers and our providers, all of you. So we are always thinking, how do we provide more training, a better pay, and also all the things that we need so the person who is in the classroom is supported. That's one key issue. And then the other one is, how do we provide the resources so these people who are in the classroom can and know how to work with DLLs. So I'm going to now go into our work around DLLs. So who are DLLs? So DLLs are children birth to 5 who are learning 2 or more languages at the same time. So knowing that, and we'll talk a little bit more about the different definitions later, I'm going to share a little bit of data of why this is so important. So we know that between 1990 and 2014, the number of DLL children in the US grew by 79%. So there's a lot of DLLs. In California, 60% of kids 0 to 5 are DLLs. So that's huge. So that's one of the main things we talk when we go to Sacramento, is like, the majority of our kids are DLLs. We need to do something about it. We need to support them. And 50% of them are in state pre-K. So all the programs that the state is subsidizing, the majority of, half of the kids are DLL. So it is important for us to really know how to support these kids and their families. And 50% of families who have a DLL in their families live in low-income communities. So we know that first there is higher risk. It is more difficult to access high-quality programs, and also we know that when DLLs have access to the right programs, their benefits are immense. So we use this to really make a case and say we need to do something now. So I want to tell you a little bit about the history in California, about where we are now and how we got here. So for a long time, California was an English-only state, which was like nobody. Now it's like, what? How can that happen? Knowing the numbers we know. So in 2016, Proposition 50 and 58 happened, which was huge. And now schools can provide dual language programs. So we changed the law, and now it is possible to teach in other languages, and not only English. So that was the beginning. That was the beginning of this big change where, schools now and parents can ask for to have dual language programs in their districts. Then in 2017, the English Learner Roadmap happened, and this is a policy that was approved by the State Board of Education that has all these policy guidelines on how to work with DLLs and English learners. So this is from early childhood through 12. So it's the whole spectrum of what does it mean to work with DLLs in early childhood, and then with English learners in K to 12. So now what we're in the process is like, how do we help schools implement and really know what to do with families and teachers in the classroom? So that's the roadmap. So it's a policy, there are policy guidelines. Then we have the state of biliteracy, which is also, that happened in 2011. And this is a recognition for high school students when they're fluent in more than 2 languages. So this is, California was the first state to do that in the nation in 2011. And so that's also great, a great piece for high schoolers, because they get, when they are proficient in 2 languages, they get this seal, and that they can carry this when they're applying to college, when they're applying to jobs. It's saying, here you go, I'm bilingual. So, and then the last thing we have is the Global California 2030, and this is from the previous SPI. The superintendent of instruction, he basically said, I want to make bilingualism a priority. I want to double the number of bilingual teachers. I want to increase the number of programs that are available and that provide DLL curriculum. I want to have more biliteracy, seal of biliteracy. So that was his goal, and now Tony Thurman, who is the new SPI, is revising those goals, and he's also a supporter. So we're waiting to see if he's going to continue with this goal of increasing all these numbers by 2030, like doubling, quadrupling, like the goals are huge. So we're excited and waiting to see what the new SPI wants to do, but we know that he's also a DLL champion. So here's a little bit more. This is the English learner roadmap. So there's a document describing all the policies starting in early childhood. So if you're interested to learn more about it, you can find it in CD's website. And then for EarlyEdge, what we've been doing is translating what does it mean for schools and creating toolkits so teachers and administrators know what to do, right? Because this is a policy document, but then it's like, what does it mean for the people who are doing the work? So we're in the process with our partners to develop toolkits so teachers and practitioners can know what to do and how to implement all these policies to help DLLs and also transition to K to 12, where they're called English learners. So here's some data. So as I mentioned at the beginning, EarlyEdge, we're all about making the case for additional professional development for teachers and providers to work with DLL. So I'm going to show you a little bit of what we're doing. So we know that DLLs enter behind, they're behind their peers in kindergarten. So we know that. So we know that they need additional support. So we're making the case of we have to help the adults in the classroom and in the different settings to really know how to help them and prepare them for kindergarten. So knowing that we want to support teachers, we started to work with the state. So yeah, again, research shows that if you don't have the right training and the supports, it's very hard to know what to do with DLL. So we gather all this information and started our process of advocating for funds from the state, which, Carola is one of the grantees, and she will explain more what they're planning to do with this funding, but wanted to show you how our, advocacy works. So basically we said, there was money for K to 12, but they didn't include the early learning. So we said, well, wait, the majority of kids are in early learning. We need money too. So that's when we started to make a case and said, K to 12 got $5 million, then we need the same for early learning because that's where the majority of kids are. So we did all the advocacy, talked to different legislators and in Sacramento did all the work too, and we were able to secure $5 million in the budget. So the California Department of Ed, we partnered with them on seeing what to do with this $5 million. So they funded 6 programs. which one of them is CSU Channel Islands. And these programs, the idea was to cover different areas, different ages, and different types of training. So we have, one that it's the SEAL program, which is more focused on pre-K. We have a program in Fresno, and they are covering infant and toddlers too. And it's different approaches, different ways to, work with DLLs, because we wanted to see, and we be sure that teachers have options, right? That there is like different ways to approach DLLs and their families, and we wanted to see what works. So if we have like a list of possibilities for schools and for programs, and then they can decide what works better for their families and their programs. So we have the language learning project in Fresno. We have Preschool Glad, which is also more focused on pre-K. And we have Channel Islands, CSU Channel Islands, which is an online program to train teachers. And then we have two others that CDE is, they're just revising their content. It's an online program, and they're just making sure that it's up to date. So, that's how much we could do with 5 million. And the idea is to, for these grantees to share, their learnings. And then we know that there was there were so many people that wanted to be part of these trainings that it's not enough. It's just the beginning. But for us, we want to make the case, because if you in Sacramento, you have to show that it matters, and you also have to show that the programs work. So we're also gathering data about the process, about if teachers are learning, what's happening, and we're reporting back to Sacramento saying, yes, there is high demand, there is great need, and we need more money. And it should be, long-term, not just one time. And all programs in California should be able to get these supports and these opportunities for training. So that's our vision, and we're starting, with this first initial investment to be sure that we have a story to tell. So in terms of what's coming next for us, we'll continue. We want to continue to make a case for these supports. So more teachers have access to trainings. So right now the Office of the Governor is asking us to develop us as the field to develop a master plan, right? So what do we need to do to make the early learning system work? So our goal from EarlyEdge is to influence this master plan and say DLLs should be part of it, right? Because we know you all work with DLLs, right? It's not something that it's, a second thought, or maybe yes, it should be there, but we should be part of this structure. So every teacher will be able to have trainings, higher ed will be able to offer the right training. So it's the whole system, and there will be opportunities and funding for this to happen. So our goal is to really influence that process with the state to be sure that they don't forget about DLLs, and then they don't forget about the people who are working with DLLs that need the support, and we need, they need what to do with the families. So I want to share this video that we created that tells a little bit about our work and what's happening with DLLs.
Gracias, Melanie. Melanie, ¿sí puedes limpiar?
Ai đây? Jackson có đi học không? Như vậy mình có mà.
I feel like language is a gift, but as a parent, giving them this opportunity to be in this program is the greatest gift that I could give them.
The more languages that you know, the more equipped you are to deal with what life throws at you.
Becoming bilingual has a lot of different advantages and cognitive advantages, including problem solving and creativity. What we've seen is that the kids are so well prepared for kindergarten, because there's just this sense of confidence.
Our dual language classrooms are outperforming our regular students that are learning only in English.
They will be competitive in the workforce. They will be able to have skills that other students may not have had the opportunity to receive.
The prime time for kids to pick up a second language is under the age of 3 because it's a critical period of language development.
LAUSD finds that it's important that we catch the children early on.
Why are we delaying starting these programs until kindergarten when we have this bigger window in that 0 to 5 space?
Los niños son como esponjitas y hay que darles a muy temprana edad la oportunidad de que ellos aprendan los dos idiomas.
My advice for any parents looking into dual language is just to keep an open mind and an open heart as well, because it can open many doors for them in the future.
It's my language, it's my identity that I want to pass that to my kids. If you ask me, do you want to give this gift to your kids? Yes.
Start early. The earlier you start, the better, and you'll be amazed at what they're capable of.
So the idea is to use these videos when we go to Sacramento and try to really make a case on why this matters. So we have one with parents, we have one with teachers, and so basically it's just to show you an example of what we do. And then regarding your question about the 5 million, what we try to do is fund training programs, so those programs could offer it to as many teachers as possible across the state. So the idea is to continue that so more and more teachers across the state can access those training programs. Thank you.